Who's that sexy person walking by?
You should be watching this video for your sun, moon, rising sign, or Venus sign, but the moon's going to resonate the best for you, most likely. So if you don't know your moon sign, check in the description box below, and there's a link there that'll help you figure out what that is. You can also be watching this if your partner or ex-partner is of this sign. And a good idea is that sometimes when these videos come out right away, they're going to resonate right away, and sometimes they're not. So yes, a personal reading is going to give you the most accurate information, but also sometimes these energies don't click with us because these things haven't happened yet. They're going to happen mid-November, or they're going to happen at the end of November. So keep that in mind too. You could bookmark it, come back to it, or you could just say, fuck it all, I don't like this bitch. That's your prerogative. But let's just get started with your video. Hi Pisces. So Pisces singles, generally what's the situation in November? And they're like, for whatever reason, you're trying to protect yourself from sadness. Another sign had this too, where it's like you build up this wall so that you can't let people in, because if you can't let people in, they can't hurt you. So you might be feeling particularly alone in the month of November, but you actually don't have to be. There's probably someone right there in front of you. You're just not seeing it because you've got these walls up. So how do we fight that? They're like, you know what? You're really intuitive, right? Pisces are just very intuitive. You're naturally sort of psychic. You're a water sign. So anything you'd need to know about a person, you could figure it out right away. Like, you already know that. So they're like, don't get hamstrung on the details, because otherwise you're going to end up unhappy. So what is it that you actually want in the month of November? And they're like, well, you want somebody who's not going to deceive you or betray you. And I mean, who wouldn't, right? So you also want like a lot of like stableness in regards to love. Like, you want predictability, you want somebody who's responsible, that you can count on, and you want to not be single. So, you know, you've got to kind of really look at and examine, like, what kind of vibes are you putting out there? Because you might be putting something out there that's kind of resisting someone from talking to you, from letting you know how they feel, expressing their interest, that sort of a thing. So, or you might even be second guessing yourself, right? Like, oh, so-and-so is cute, maybe I should go on a date with them. And then you're like, oh, but you know what? Maybe they'll hurt me. Okay, but maybe they won't hurt you, and you'll never know unless you try. So, what is it that you actually need in the month of November? And they're like, you know what? Like, the time to think about things and like assess to keep yourself out of danger of, you know, being hurt and stuff. That's not necessarily a bad thing, is what they want to say. But, you know, and maybe this time while you're doing this, for you to be on your own is good. Maybe it's good. So why? And they say, because only by examining the things that hurt us can we really appreciate the things that are wonderful. But they're like, don't spend too much time doing that, though, because then we're going to get really focused on the things that we don't like about our history, about our past, about our experiences, about our own loneliness, things like that. And when we focus on it, then we attract more of that in, and we kind of go down this like spiral that makes us kind of depressed. So they're like, you know, focus on the things that you can control, like your own life, your own stability, your own routines, because they say, you know, otherwise things aren't going to change for you. So month of November is going to be very important how you're looking at things, like asking yourself, why am I focused on this? And is it something I should be focused on or not? So what is it that you should do in order to get what you want, which is to not be single? And they're saying you don't have to be the one who goes out and pursues love or anything, because, and this is interesting, but they're like, this month, like, maybe fire signs aren't a good match. Like, you're just not going to jive. But they're saying, like, you don't have to be the one that goes out there and searches for it, because they're like, maybe you can't trust yourself to pick somebody that is actually good for you, at least in this month. You know, so especially if you have a history of picking like a pattern of the same kind of person, this month, maybe let them come to you. They're saying, because you want something totally different than the past experiences. Because what you're learning is that, you know, the kind of people that you've been with in the past are maybe not the best choice for you. They say like that somebody who is less selfish is going to be better for you. And you might be kind of drawn to selfish people for some reason, possibly because you are a water sign, which makes you sort of an empath, which means that when we see people, you know, that are a little bit selfish or things like that, like people that need our assistance, our love, we want to give it to them. We want to fix them. We want to make them better. And they're like, you know what? Maybe if somebody who was already fixed or better just showed up and asked you out, that'd be more ideal in the month of November. So what is it that you need to release? Single Pisces. And they say, like this idea of, you know, when you match up with somebody and you want the same thing long term, and then you're kind of like arguing about how things should go in the short term to achieve that. They're like little arguments and stuff like that. Whatever ones you could let go, let them go. But also letting go of maybe, you know, types. Like, oh, okay, well, that person seems really nice. They seem really great, but they're not my type. You know, I don't like redheads. Or I don't like people who don't speak my language as their first language, because then I'm suspicious about what they're talking about when they're speaking their native language. Or maybe there's somebody of a different religion, things like that. They're like, let go of those ideas of like what your type is, because as historically, as you've been, you know, following your type, it's maybe not worked out the best. Okay? So like expand that a little bit. They're like, you know, don't nitpick or get like annoyed, like even though this isn't what you usually date, that's actually the point in the month of November. Trying different things, because there could be a lot of security and things that you cherish and love that you didn't expect about a different type. Okay, so your overall lesson for single Pisces is grief. I'm understanding that losing something is an opportunity to appreciate it. And that's exactly what we were talking about when we had that 5 of Cups energy there, where it's like, you know what? It's actually okay if we're a little bit sad this month, thinking about what we don't have so that we can focus on the opposite, on what we want. So moving on to coupled Pisces, what do we have in the month of November? Actually, I want to shuffle these a different way. I got the message to do it 4 times. So I'm just going to do that quick. 1, 2, 3, and bear with me, I'm so sorry, 4. Okay, so couple Pisces, what is your general situation in regards to your relationship in November? And it's funny that I shuffled, and it's not a very dissimilar message from the Pisces singles, where it's like, you know what, don't get so hamstrung on the details. You're going to be thinking long-term as opposed to short-term battles and struggles. So if you and your partner are in an argument, or you're arguing about things in general, little things, maybe they seem like big things at the time, but they're like, focus on the big end result. What do you have in common? And then negotiate and compromise from there. Super important in November. What should you keep doing in your relationship? Okay, if you are having trouble in your relationship, especially regarding money, finances, home, bills, routines, work, you know, work-life balance kind of stuff, they're like sex. As much sex as possible. Passion, passion, passion. That's going to be huge for you. You really need to do that. And why? Because it's going to help you get through all of this kind of stuff that you're dealing with in the month of November, and it'll secure your relationship like as a better relationship for the longer term. Especially like in a marriage, like if you're not taking advantage of the opportunities to really engage in a sexual way this month with your partner, then that's when you're going to start to lose like that passion and lustful feeling that you want to retain in order to get through the harder times. So what is it you need to stop doing in the month of November? And they're saying, stop trying to figure all this stuff out about work, money, whatever. They're not like, hey, totally avoid it, but they're like new opportunities and stuff, new business ventures, moving, like that kind of a thing. Taking a different job is maybe not the answer. They say good communication is the answer with your partner, and that comes after you have your lusty encounters with them, okay? And look at what was just at the bottom there. That just flashed up there. They're like, if you're kind of like in danger if you don't have these lusty encounters, you or your partner might later go like, I think I want to move on to something more lustful. Okay, so what is your general advice? Things don't happen overnight. That's the first thing that just flew right out of the deck. And they're also saying, like, you're going to get where you need to go no matter what, like, even if you're not enthused about it at the moment, so that's okay. You know, feel your feelings. Your feelings are intense. You got to feel them. So let's see what your lesson is overall in the month of November. And they say, you know what? This is perfect, especially for couples when you were trying to look at the long-term goal, but maybe we're having a hard time or disagreements of, like, on how to get to that end result. Because it says, I am understanding that everyone has their own unique path and challenges. So you know what? Maybe this is easy for me. Maybe it's hard for you. But here's the end result that we want. Maybe this is challenging for me, not for you. Maybe I think we should do it this way. You think we should do it this way. But does it actually matter how we get there? Like, as long as we get there. So that's what I have for couples. And then for those of you who are in between in on-again, off-again relationships, or maybe you just haven't made it official, they say that kind of what's happening here is maybe you're not feeling enough love coming in, or maybe you're not giving enough love. And it's not because of anything else except for confusion as to where the priorities are. So how do we get clear on what the priorities should be in the month of November? And they say that it's not dissimilar from the singles either, where, you know, you might be feeling kind of bummed out. And so you might have some walls up, and they're like, it doesn't allow you to necessarily shine at your brightest capacity. You know, your partner might interpret that as a little bit unattractive, but not necessarily knowing where that's coming from. And so they're like, this isn't for your highest good. So, you know, you can acknowledge those feelings, but then move on from them. Don't stay in them. They're like, because love could grow, like, here. So if it's a new relationship, it could be that you fall in love with this person. If it's an on-again, off-again relationship, it could be like a new appreciation, falling in love again with this person. But we have to be very cautious of the kind of vibe we're putting out there. If you're defensive, if, like, they give you a criticism, like, I don't really know how I feel about this thing that you're doing, or this thing that you're wearing, or, you know, whatever it could be, and you're like, well, I don't really know that I give a crap about what you have to say, not going to go so well. Or if you know, project or deflect, if, you know, you turn it around and throw it back on them, not going to work this month. So, love and light, and see you in December. Bye.